Okay. Good evening and welcome to Meet the Candidates, event for the town of Warrensburg Supervisor. All candidates on the ballots were invited. This event is organized by the League of Women Voters of Saratoga County. My name is Linda McKenney, and I am a member of the League of Women Voters of Saratoga County, and I will be your moderator tonight. The League of Women Voters of Saratoga County is a nonpartisan, volunteer political organization dedicated to the informed and responsible participation of citizens in government. The League never supports or opposes any political party or candidate. That has been the League policy since 1920. Membership is open to anyone who is eligible to register and vote, whether male or female. Please consider joining your local league. Before we start, I've spoken to the candidates, and I want to also say to our audience that the video taken tonight is the property of the league and can only be used by the league or licensed media according to the FCC regulations. This event will be posted in its entirety. It may not be used by the candidates except to post a link to the complete video. We do not make this request lightly. We have had recent experiences where candidates or their supporters have used portions of our video or an audience member's own video against their opponents. The League is a nonpartisan organization, and use of the video by a campaign specifically against another candidate goes against our purpose. Additionally, this behavior would discredit us, with candidates making it difficult for us to sponsor future forums. All candidates participating this evening have pledged that they will abide by our policy. Questions were sent to us by members of the community. League members reviewed and compiled them to be representative and to avoid redundancy. We reject questions of a personal nature. So candidates, this is your opportunity to let voters know your stance on these topics and how you will address the issues facing the town of Warrensburg. Please don't waste valuable time tearing down or labeling your opponent. Deal with the facts. In your closing statements, absolutely no zingers. In other words, no putting your opponent on the spot with no chance to reply. We have timers for this evening's event. Cards will be held up for the candidates to glance at. Green means 1 minute left, red means 30 seconds, and yellow means 30 seconds, and red means time is up. There are 3 candidates for 1 supervisor position. The 3 candidates in alphabetical order are Kevin Geraghty, Republican conservative, Rich Larkin, Democrat, and Nathan or Bud York, working for you. So now it's time to hear their 2-minute opening statements. And we've drawn lots to determine the order. So the first to speak is Kevin.
Okay. Hi, my name is Kevin Geraghty. I'm running for town supervisor, town of Warrensburg. I've been a full-time supervisor since I've held this post. I'm a lifelong resident of the town of Warrensburg. I'm really proud to say that the town of Warrensburg is under no fiscal stress. That's very important to me, and it should be important to all the taxpayers of the town. We've received over $2.4 million in grant funds over the last few years I've been supervisor. We've put in over 10,000 feet of sidewalks. We have a new highway garage. We have new improved highway fleet. We've had a new health center built in our community. We've improved our recreation fields. We installed a new tot lot. We've improved infrastructure, and that's the wells and the sewer plant. We reopened the historical museum under my tenure, cleaned up 2 brownfield sites, restored the historic Floyd Bennett Bandstand, instituted community gardens, reopened and I give support to all the veterans organizations. I work every day for my community. We were open during COVID in a safe manner, and we did that for the residents of Warrensburg. I feel I'm the best qualified candidate. I took this job after a 32-year career with International Paper, which I enjoyed very much, but they closed my facility over in Corinth. So I think I'm the best candidate for the position of town supervisor. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Next up, Bud.
Thank you. I'm a believer in term limits, and it is now time for new leadership in Warrensburg. The present supervisor has been in office 28 years, 12 years as town councilman and 16 years as supervisor. I believe those in elected positions should be transparent when making decisions that affect the citizenry. Those who have power and control too long eventually become too comfortable in their position and tend to make decisions that are not well thought out and are detrimental to those who elected them. It is time now for some new vision. At the opposite extreme, candidate Larkin has no experience whatsoever in managing large budgets and governmental employees. When elected, I will guarantee transparency and will make no important decisions for the town without seeking the input of town citizens. For as long as I have lived in Warrensburg, since 1964, the town has been run by one party. We need someone who is an independent thinker and will listen to all points of view from the electorate. Independent, conservative, green, libertarian, Democrat, Republican, whatever you call yourself, your thoughts and opinions should matter. We need everyone's input to help make our town the best it can be. Warrensburg developed a comprehensive plan on waterfront revitalization strategy in March of 2012. It is a 55-page document with good ideas, many which have not been implemented. The first goal of the plan was to appoint an economic development committee, and I have learned this committee just started meeting in the early spring of 2021. I believe it is extremely important to have experts in business and industry on this committee to bring in new entrepreneurs to get them on the tax roll. The town does not need to own more property or land. We need more properties paying their fair share of taxes. I will personally meet with this committee on a monthly basis and empower them to help bring business to our town. I will also install a state-of-the-art video and audio system for our meetings and find a better platform for everyone interested in participating so they can view with ease from the internet. Thank you.
Thank you, Bud. And next up, Rich.
Good evening. First, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters of Saratoga County and Linda for hosting this event. We very much appreciate the opportunity. I was raised in Bolton Landing, graduated from that high school, have a college degree, had an early career in sales, marketing, and public relations, and that led to a lot of great experiences that have been very broad in my ability to see other opportunities throughout the country. After that, I took a position with the phone industry in technology and had more growing experiences, learning experiences that have allowed me to see technology and business from an inside perspective. In my career, I've also had the opportunity to work with business owners and help them grow their business, see their budgets, run into the difficulties of growing too fast, and seeing what it's like to have to collect on outdated bills while you're still trying to close a new sale. How does that affect Warrensburg? Well, it affects it directly, because when one looks at where the state of this town is and where it's been for the last 12 years, there's no growth. There's no new business coming into our community. We need an economic program that'll bring business to our community. And I've been working directly on that for the last 2 years. And there are many benefits that come from the work I've done. And we'll get into that as the evening progresses. But the most important thing here is the fact that I too believe in term limits. And I believe that it's important that we work to build our community the way we want it to be built and not accept the let it happen strategy that seems to be in play today. I very much appreciate the opportunity to live here for 30 years. The wonderful neighbors and friends that I've grown here are heartwarming experience for me. And I look forward to working for the community to build it to a better place that we can both and all enjoy.
Thank you, Rich. Yeah, thank you, Rich. All right, so now, thank you for the statements, and now we're going to move into questions. And just so you know, Bud, you'll be the first to answer questions.
Okay, thank you.
And then it'll be Rich, and then it'll be Kevin. So here we go. So this office requires working with others. How do you plan to work cooperatively with local government officials and the broader community to make the best decisions? And remember, you have 1.5 minutes to respond.
Well, thank you. Well, I do have those skills. I was the sheriff for 12 years in this county, and I had to work with the board of 20 supervisors. I had to work with government officials. I had to work with 62 different county sheriffs, and I was on the executive committee. So I've got a lot of experience in dealing with not only local officials, but state and federal officials. So I feel I definitely have all those skills, and I'm a people person, and I've always gotten along very well with people.
Okay, thank you, Bud. Next up is Rich.
Thank you. Working with people is something I've done my entire life. I grew up in the tourism industry right here around Lake George. I've had opportunities to work in sales and marketing positions that have left me an opportunity to deal with local business people, executive business people, large banks, corporations. It's when you bring it back to the local level here in our community, I see us working together very easily. You put a circumstance on the table, you give people an opportunity to weigh in, you work with their thoughts and ideas to bring a positive conclusion, and I feel that I'm a best candidate to do that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rich. And Kevin.
Yeah, my past positions here, since I've been elected to office, I've led the Board of Supervisors for 4 years at Warren County. And then there are 20 personalities you have to deal with on the Board of Supervisors. So I think I've learned to work with everybody. I've also been a volunteer fireman for 51 years, and I have led that fire company for over 40 years as president. You don't do that by not being able to work with people. So I feel that's my skill set. And my last job at International Paper was to be in customer service, and that was meeting the needs of the customers all over the country. So I've learned to work with people, and I think I have the skill set to continue to do that.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. Next up, so let's see. The next order will be Rich, and then Kevin, and then Bud. Okay, so Rich, you'll be up first to answer this one. Do you support a 1-year moratorium on new retail as well as demolition in the Main Street Historic District? And how do you plan to protect the historic ambiance of the hamlet as we move forward through the 21st century?
That's a very pertinent question, and I appreciate the opportunity to ask that. I know that the question talks about demolition, but the moratorium that's currently on the table is a moratorium about no new construction in our historic district on our Main Street corridor. So specifically, I do support the moratorium, and here's why. The codes that are currently on the books and haven't been looked at since 2011 are in dire need of being addressed. Some of them are outdated. Some of them never got to the point where they actually protected the historic buildings in our community. And the number one thing I've read on economic development is you protect your history and your heritage. And that's why I believe that it's important to make sure that we do our best to protect what we have here in our community. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rich. And then Kevin.
Yeah, I can't come right out and say I support a moratorium. I want to hear from the people who it affects. I mean, moratoriums work if you need to do something in infrastructure, but just to say I would support a moratorium without hearing from the people, I can't sign on to that. I do believe in historic buildings, and that's why we put money into opening up the museum. But there comes a time where these historic buildings need help. And we haven't been able to find help. We have applied for Main Street grants in the past to try to help bring them up to codes and help the people. But as far as moratorium, if that's what the people of this community want, then I will vote for a moratorium. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. And Bud.
Absolutely, without question. I think it's extremely important that we do this. We had a recent problem in town where the Caldwell House was taken down, I believe prematurely, and I believe that was because this town does not have codes that help the historic district. I'm firmly in support of doing anything that we can do as a municipality to help support these historic buildings and help the people that own them. I don't want them getting poor trying to keep them up, but we need to do something. And I'm all in favor of doing a moratorium until we can check what our codes are, to update our codes. And I agree with Kevin, we need to listen to the people about this, but I firmly believe we have to help the people that own these houses, and we need to stop destroying them.
Okay, thank you, Bud. So the next question would be Kevin, then Bud, then Rich. And here it is. How can we utilize the comprehensive plan when reviewing a proposed project? In other words, what do you think should be the role of the comprehensive plan in the review process?
Well, I remember when we did the plan in 2012, we had numerous meetings. It took about a year for us to put together the plan, and you try to find the best fit for each neighborhood, what works in each neighborhood. And that's what I thought we came out with in 2012. Now it appears now that people want to change the way the town is laid out. So we have to make changes and keep up with the times. But a comprehensive plan should be a guide that we use to develop what comes next in our community. So I think we're going to undertake it again sometime, and but that's the way I feel about comprehensive plans. We should follow them, we should keep them intact, but they do need to be updated from time to time. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Kevin. And then next is Bud.
Well, absolutely. This revitalization plan was written, 9 years ago, and it's a very good plan. It has a lot of good things in it. But again, one of the first things on it was an economic development committee, which I think is very important. But when you have that in your master plan and you're just starting meetings in late 2021, we've got to not only use this plan, I think we need to use it as like the Constitution. If this is what you want as your town, then you got to have somebody that's keeping an eye on that master plan and letting us know on the town board when we're getting off center to get back to it. And I think I agree that it's a very good plan. They did a lot of job to it, but we've got to implement it. There's a lot of things that are just sitting there. You just read it and they're just sitting there. So we have to implement more. I think it's a good plan.
Thank you, Bud. And Rich.
But that was well stated. This plan has been in place for, like you said, 9 years, and it's been avoided for 9 years. There's things that have taken place in this community time after time where the plan is not even looked at. It's kick the can down the road, we'll get to it next time. And I feel that it's not appropriate to kick the can down the road anymore. And that's why I'm taking the stance that I have, because it's important that the people of this community know that somebody's going to stand up for them. And it's appropriate to reevaluate those, the master plan and the comprehensive plan. What's important is to follow them and take a look at them from time to time. And here we are. And this is exactly why we need to have the workshops to reevaluate these things and get the things in place that are going to work for the community as a whole. Thank you.
Excuse me, can I do a red card on this or no?
Yes, you can. You have 1 minute.
Well, I think Rich and I are on the same page. I think we think a lot alike about this, but I disagree with him. I don't want to look at this once in a while. I want somebody that knows this plan inside and out, advising me. If I become the supervisor, I want them advising me when we're getting off track. So we want to use this as not just maybe a guideline. We want to use it as a guideline, and we need somebody to keep us in tow.
And I'd
Okay,
like to speak to
thank
that
you, Bud.
again.
Okay, Rich, you have 1 minute.
I'd like to clarify what I meant, Bud, by from time to time. You don't need to evaluate the master plan and a comprehensive plan on a regular basis. What you have to do is put them in place and make sure you follow them. And you were also right when you stated things like the Economic Development Committee hadn't been addressed prior. I believe that might be a mistake. I think Linda sat on an Economic Development Committee. But the long and short of it is, it's just now getting to the point where we actually have people involved to the point where we need them. And additionally, there was a Planning Oversight Committee that was cited in that master plan, and it's never been put in place. And Mr. Geraghty recently told me, just do it through the Economic Development Committee. That's not exactly what was meant to be in place, but we are working to try to take those thoughts into consideration. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rich. All right, we're going to move on to the next question then, and the order this time will be Bud, then Rich, then Kevin. How should the planning board and all other boards ensure that public comments are heard and considered during the review process and meetings are run in accordance with open meeting law?
Well, first and foremost, we need somebody on that board, the chair especially, who is polite to the public, who will give them a chance to speak, who will listen to them, not look down upon them, and give them a chance to speak. I know there's been meetings where this has not happened. So I think it's up to the town board especially to review. If there's problems with the way planning boards are held, they need to review it. But we need to listen to our folks. We need to be polite and let them talk when we're at a meeting.
Okay, thank you, Bud. And then Rich.
Based on the law, there are correct times to have a public hearing. And in the public hearing, the people will be heard and should be heard. There are times when that's not appropriate. And I don't think everybody in the community completely understands the processes. And I believe it's our duty as a town board to help the public understand the processes. And what specifically I'm talking about is when you have a site plan review and there's no public hearing, the planning board in particular should pay attention to the site plan review. And although there's a great deal of dissatisfaction with the performance of a chair, I would like to remind the public that those people volunteer. And that's not an easy situation, especially when you have a room full of people that are angry about a subject matter. So I'm not saying that anybody was right, but I do believe the young lady was trying to do her job correctly. And there are planned public hearings, I believe next Tuesday for the planning board, and in the near future for the town board on these subject matters. And that is the appropriate time and place for people to come speak out. And I do believe in my heart that the boards should all listen when the public is speaking. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rich. Kevin?
Yeah, I do believe it's training. People need training on how to properly run meetings. It's an ongoing process. I do believe, I don't know how many public hearings I've held in my tenure on the county level or on the town level, but there is a proper way of doing things. And I have to agree with Mr. Larkin on some of this. People don't understand the procedure. They don't understand Robert's Rules of Order sometimes. So public hearings can get away from people. And I believe with training and working with the leaders of these committees, as Rich said, they are volunteers, they do their best, but sometimes I think we need to give them more training on how to properly conduct a public hearing. So that's my goal, is to have them trained.
Okay, thank you, Kevin.
Can I have a red card for 30 seconds?
Yes, you may.
I agree with Kevin and Rich, but I think it's important that we get that training done soon. So when there's a meeting and it's not public, they need to let the public know that. There's a lot of confusion in the public. Most people don't understand the rules. So if it is just read to them at the beginning of the meeting, this is what it's for. This is not, we're not taking any public comment. Do it politely. I agree with that 100%.
Okay, thank you, Bud.
Thank you.
All righty, we're gonna move on, and now it would be Rich, and then Kevin, and then Bud. Let's see. How do you plan to work and keep all residents informed? What is your plan for clear, transparent communication with everyone?
Thank you for your question. It's a very important question for every community. The most important thing you can do is communicate to the residents and the taxpayers what's going on. 4 times a year for a newsletter isn't enough. That's why the websites and things of that nature, the technology that we have at hand isn't being used to any extent that it's there to be used. And I would put in place greater technology for the town hall, improve the websites that we have, and keep them updated on a regular basis. You know, with the circumstances we have in this country today, with the opportunity to convey messages on any public platform, social media, there's no reason for people to be in the dark. It's up to us, and we need to take responsibility to get the job done correctly. And I believe that I'm the best guy to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. Okay, Kevin.
Well, we did start a newsletter for the town, and we do send it out quarterly. We try to get it out quarterly, and I think, but I do agree that using a better use of our websites and our social media functions, and that's what we're trying to do. We're going to develop a new website. And have we been lax? Some lax. I try to get as much information up as we can ahead of time. We've instituted trying to post our agendas for our town board meetings Friday before the Wednesday meeting. And but we can always improve, and I think that's what we're striving for now. And we've looked at our website, how to make it more user-friendly, and that's one of the things we're going to try to do in the future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kevin and Bud.
Oh, yeah, it all has to do with social media. Everybody's on social media today. I don't know how to Facebook. I'm not on it. I wouldn't know how to use it. I don't know how to tweet or any of that stuff, but most people do. So I think it's important that the town, and I will develop a better communication system. I think our audio visual in the town is not good, so I would enhance that. I would look at it to upgrade it the best that I could. I also think the town meetings, this is the first time that I've used Zoom. I've never used it before. It's a heck of a lot better than YouTube. So I will implement this. And if I become supervisor, I'm going to have someplace, and I don't know how we do it. I'll have the young people that know the internet, but you got a gripe or a complaint, you throw it in on the computer. I want to make sure that somebody brings it to me and lets me know every day so we can try to deal with it. I think that helps with the communication.
Okay.
I'd like to respond
Thank you,
again, if
Bud.
I may.
Sure. Okay, Rich, go ahead.
Right now, we are faced as a community with some very difficult decisions. And I think it's important that everybody has an opportunity to see and understand the presentations. I would encourage Supervisor Geraghty to take into consideration placing a smart board or smart TV on our wall in our town hall so that people can put things that are of importance right off a laptop up on the screen so that people can see it as we sit there in a meeting. Most recently, we talked about a particular map that needed to be better for people to understand. With that type of a piece of equipment, it would be easy to expand or condense a map so that people could see each block, each street, each house. And I would ask that you take that into consideration, and we try to get something like that done as quickly as possible. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Rich. Okay, we'll move on to the next question, and the order this time will be Kevin and Bud and then Rich. What are the most pressing issues facing your hamlet today? And how would you propose to address them?
Well, in light of just what happened, redeveloping the master plan is very important. But I've been working on water sewer issues ever since I took office. we always need to upgrade our water supply, and that's a #1 priority to me. We also have some water infrastructure projects that we have to do coming down from our water tank. Those are very important. They don't get a lot of high priorities, but those are things I continue to work on. Our waste treatment plant was built in 1992. It didn't have any maintenance done on it until I came into office, and it's been slow going, but there are some major things we need to do upgrade our maintenance. And I will say one thing, everybody who talks about doing all this stuff, it costs money. And I've been a fiscal conservative my whole time in office. I again am not a social media person. I'm learning it. I have a secretary now who's very, very good at that. But everything we're talking about costs money. And I've always tried to be conservative in how much I raise taxes here. But it's time, and I agree with both gentlemen, there's some changes we need to make. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. Bud.
I'm going to make this very short. I think the most important thing that we can do is update our codes. Everything else will fall into place if we can update our codes and get economic development in town. Kevin's right. He's worked on the water and sewer. That needs to be worked on. One of the wells that used to be on Library Avenue is no longer working, so we've got to find another well. I think that's extremely important because you have to find water to get to the people.
Okay, thank you, Bud. And Rich.
As supervisor, I'll never lose sight of the importance of taking care of the water and sewer infrastructure. It's absolutely a top priority in every town, and I see what's fallen apart in many of the communities throughout the area. But what's more important than that is our workforce for our businesses that are in our community. Just yesterday, I heard about Hacker Boatcraft down in Glens Falls, wanting to hire more people, and they just can't do it for one reason. And that reason is they can't find housing in Warren County for those people. So what comes first, the chicken or the egg? We need more housing in Warrensburg, and there is work being done to bring more housing to Warrensburg. And I appreciate Mr. Geraghty working with me to try to do that. And there is a plan on the table, and it's a slow process. If I'll say so, one thing about government, it doesn't happen fast. But once you have the housing in place, then you can bring in the workforce and there are a lot of people that want to work. There are a lot of educated people that want to come to a community like Warrensburg. And whether they work in Warrensburg or whether they commute to Glens Falls isn't the important thing. But Warrensburg is a beautiful family town, and we have the opportunity to put in place housing that'll make it easier for people to come to the workforce. And that would alleviate the pressures, which is another very important issue that's on our local business people. You know, there's a new term out there called No Food Tuesday in Warrensburg because people can't get enough help to keep their businesses open.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rich.
Could I have a red card?
Yes. Oh, wait, no, Bud, you've already had 2. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry. 2 was the number?
2 was the number,
How are you
yes.
keeping track of all of this? You
Yes.
gotta score.
I have a pen.
Got a good pen. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, no more
That's
red cards,
okay.
right? Okay.
But Kevin, did you want to have a red card? You're muted. You're muted, Kevin.
Yeah, we've been pushing for broadband in our community for several years. I went to a forum up in Lake Placid in 2016 where the former governor said everybody would have broadband. We still don't have broadband in all our areas of Warrensburg, but it's getting better. So that's very important. And if we expect to progress in this community, we've got to get that broadband. And I keep working on that with Warren County EDC. And it's tough when we just can't get it into our community the way I feel it should be. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. All right, then we're going to move on to the next question. And this time the order will be Bud and then Rich and then Kevin. What lessons do you feel your town has learned about addressing the pandemic, and what would you like your town to do moving forward?
Well, to be very honest with you, I've been out of the loop since I retired 2 years ago. And I'm really not up on what Kevin in the town has done with pandemic. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend to say that I know what should be done. I do think that Kevin and the town board has done a good job, keeping the town open. But as far as what the problems are, I can't intelligently talk about that.
Okay, thank you, Bud. And Rich.
The lessons learned from the pandemic are life can be scary. And for business people that are confronted with lack of sales, not sure if they can pay their mortgage, not being able to pay their employees, it's extremely scary. As a town board, we worked with the state officials and the federal officials to help our community better understand what relief was available to them. And I'll tell you, people were extremely reluctant to fill out the applications so they could help themselves, help their employees, and help their business. When you deal with this type of a crisis, I think educating the public is as extremely as important as any other aspect of it, because misinformation will kill any progress toward the resolution. And therefore, I would ask the public to take into consideration, whether you agree with it or not, what the authorities and the professionals are putting forth, because without listening, we end up with an increased destabilization of our society. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Rich and Kevin.
Well, the town had to learn how to deal with this pandemic. And there was many regulations and rules, and we were in constant contact with Warren County Public Health. And we made decisions here that we could safely keep our town hall open, but also be safe to our employees and the public as they came through. So I think we've done a pretty good job. We handed out over 1,000 masks at our time. We have our emergency supplies of all the items needed if we ever get hit with a pandemic again and it raises its ugly head. But there again, I tried to encourage people to get vaccinated, but it is their choice. So we have to take every precaution. We still take every precaution when you come into the town hall. We do have you sign in so we know who you are, and if anything ever happens, or if we have a case in the town hall where somebody gets COVID, we can trace it. So I think we've done a very good job. We were ahead of the curve with many towns in getting our reports done. And again, it was a learning curve. If we had a problem in the community, I had to go out and talk to the business owner or to get them to comply with the mask mandate. So I've learned a lot about this, and I think we've done a pretty good job in Warrensburg.
Okay, thank you, Kevin.
Mhm.
Okay. So the next question, it will be, the order will be Rich and then Kevin and then Bud. What do you want to achieve during your term of office? And if elected, what are your plans for the first 90 days?
There's many things that I would like to achieve. Number one, expanding the tax base is a top priority. I've already taken efforts to take a closed business, Hickory Hill, without any input from finances from the town board, to get a business that was really in quite disrepair back up on its feet. And it has a full staff at this point. It's now an operational community with full-time staff, and it's a 4-season operation. Some of the things that are coming into play are the Jeep event that is planned to come next spring to Warrensburg, to Hickory Hill, and to some of the Bolton community. Back to the first 90 days, I'd like to bring peace to the community and express to my friends and neighbors that we are going to work together and we're going to fill the void and create a better environment for fixing the codes that we feel are delinquent and working to bring calm back to the community. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Rich. And then,
Well, what I'm doing is I continue to work on the infrastructure projects while everything else is going on. We have had consultants in on the well. We plan on doing our lagoon site. Those are all important, and they also will add, allow us to bring in more businesses into our community. But I do think, listening to the recent concerns of the populace, we need to start working on a master plan and updating the master plan. And that will be one of my priorities, along with the other day-to-day operation. You know, this is a day-to-day operation. I'm here every day doing the things that need to be done in town, plus juggling other things that we have to do. So I think it's important that I continue to be here every day and make some progress on things that I'm listening to the public let me know that they want done.
okay, thank you, Kevin. Bud?
Oh, as I stated before, you know, economic development is number one in the, you know, the master plan, getting that on board. One of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of that ugly solar farm that is on the recreation field. It is encroached. The recreation field was left to the town of Warrensburg over almost 100 years ago with the explicit deed saying that it should be used for recreation. And the town water department and the town over the years has encroached on it. They put a well on it. That well is no longer in use. It's just sitting there. It's an ugly building. The solar farm that's there is making electricity, but the town of Warrensburg is getting nothing from it. And it needs to come down, and we need to expand our recreation field for the families and for the kids of this town the way that the people that left it to us 100 years ago asked us to do. And I have looked at the Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation, and the town of Warrensburg has been violating that over the years by encroaching on it. So I would like to expand that recreation field.
Okay, thank you, Bud. So this is the last question, and the order now will be Kevin, Bud, and Rich. What would you propose to do to help fight climate change on a local level?
Well, I've been thinking about that a little bit because we don't have any electric charging stations in our community. I've been looking around. I think it's time that maybe we put some electric charging stations in our community to help those people who want to do that. We try to do some solar panels to try to help out with the climate change, and they're not popular. They will be popular in certain places, but where we tried to put them, they haven't been popular. So I think I need to do some more studying on what kind of sources we can get to reduce the pitfalls of climate change and to bring some electric charging stations in our community to move up into the 20th century, 21st century.
Okay, thank you, Kevin.
Yep.
Bud?
Well, not being knowledgeable about climate change. If I'm supervisor, I got a friend who's a PhD and very knowledgeable in it. And I would certainly bring him on board at the town level to teach us about climate change, how it affects our town and what this town can do. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you things that I'm going to do until I'm more knowledgeable about it. And I'd be more than willing to talk to this friend of mine who I respect completely, to have him come to the town board, enlighten us, teach us, and let us know what we can do. And I'd be more than open for that.
Okay, thank you, Bud. Rich?
Thank you for the question. I won't pretend that I am knowledgeable to any great degree on this at all. But even as a layperson, it's obvious that the weather has been changing and dramatically affecting our communities. More and more communities are having washout problems because of the increased runoff from the rains. The factor that infrastructure gets damaged more frequently throughout Warren County and the region by these weather changes all say one thing: we need a more prepared plan so that we're not reacting to these things, we're prepared for them. And I agree with Bud. It's important to have consultants on board to make sure that we're headed in the right direction. But it's also important to be prepared and look into this stuff before it happens. Don't wait until it happens and then have to react, because you're not going to get the best result. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. Well, those were all of the questions. So now we're going to move on to closing statements. And you each have 1 minute for a closing statement. And the order for the closing statements will be Bud, and then Rich, and then Kevin.
Are we ready?
We are ready, Bud. You can go ahead.
Thank you, and thank you for emceeing this for us. We appreciate it. I do not believe that government should tell private property owners who they can sell their property to, but I do believe in good zoning and planning boards that are enacting codes and laws that are approved by the people of Warrensburg, so we can protect and honor our history. Those who are elected or appointed to positions should not just make laws they want. They should listen to the voice of the electorate and vote accordingly. As the elected sheriff of Warren County for 12 years and managing a $25 million budget with 220 employees and numerous union issues, I believe I have the skills and experience to lead our town. I will take no pay raises ever. Thank you.
Thank you, Bud. And I say Rich.
Thank you, ladies, for the effort you put forth to make this all come together. I started this journey to campaign and potentially win the seat for the supervisor 10 months ago. And I wrote down a goal. My goal was to create an opportunity for the town of Warrensburg to have a conversation. Back then, I couldn't tell you what the conversation was going to completely entail, but I can see now that it's been good for the community. It's been a little contentious in some areas, but the people of this community are talking, and we need them to continue to talk. And I would like to thank one of the other candidates for adopting some of my platform, because it tells me I'm on the right track and I'm leading the parade to deliver a result of positive direction for the community of Warrensburg that is planned and controlled growth. Thank you very much for your time this evening, ladies.
Thank you, Rich. And Kevin. You muted, Kevin. Unmute yourself, please.
I'd like to thank the league for hosting this event. Also, to me, I have to weigh the balance of what everybody wants in the community, not just a few. And when you have a vocal few, they may be forcing their will on which is not the will of the people. So I think we need to have, I think the conversations we've been having have been good, but I want to hear from the other side of the coin and see if this is what they really want. Another thing I think is important to this community is to remain a stable tax. And that's what I've tried to do over my years in here is to be cognizant of everybody, not just the Main Street people, not just the business people, but also the people on the back street. So I tried to take all that into account. And I would like more input for people, not just the ones who want to see something done this way or that way. I would like to hear from more of the people who may not want to hear that and see if we can come to a compromise. So that's our goal going forward, is to come up with a compromise. And I thank you again for having this tonight.
Thank you, Kevin. You're welcome, all of you. So I'm going to wrap things up here and kind of speak to the audience. Please remember to vote. You must register by October 8th. If you have moved, an address change must be submitted by October 13. Early voting starts from October 23rd through October 31. Absentee ballots may be requested by mail until October 18 and postmarked by November 2nd. Absentee ballots may be requested in person by November 1 and returned in person by November 2 by 9 p.m. The general election is November 2nd. Polls open from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Please check with local Board of Elections for polling places. I want to thank all the candidates for not only attending this event, but honoring the guidelines we set forth and sticking to those times. And you helped educate your voters. Thank you to the audience for taking time to learn about the candidates. And that's it.